Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
That a vote of no confidence is taking place there. Let's have a listen in.
Glamorous people that are sat behind me. Over the last 3 weeks, they have had, which isn't uncommon, any number of unpleasant and aggressive calls. Somebody had the misfortune of opening an envelope that had used toilet paper in. Indeed. These people work incredibly hard and have, particularly over the last year, sacrificed a huge amount for our party. They've behaved impeccably today, as they always do, and as an outgoing chairman, I can say it has been an absolute honour and a privilege to work with every single one of them. Can you show your appreciation for their efforts today? Second thanks is to you. Today is regrettable in many ways. As I said at the outset, the fact that I'm constantly being told by political experts that UKIP is finished and that nobody really cares anymore, nobody knows what its purpose is. Well, 1,500 people cared enough and believed in it enough to travel all the way to Birmingham and spend the afternoon here today. And actually, you know, I just want to make a couple of points. In one of the speeches earlier, reference was made to a legal case that you may have heard of last week, and an amount was given. We don't yet know how much we're going to have to pay Labour MPs as a result of the Jane Collins case. But the one thing I know is that there isn't a single man or woman in this room who are going to let Labour bully UKIP off the pitch, regardless of the outcome today. And with that mentality in mind, somebody came up to me earlier and gave me a €10 note. So the results. We've had a number of challenges, certainly in my time as chairman, we've faced a number of challenges. We've heard all about them here today. The one thing that actually has been maintained is the willingness of our membership to stick with it and keep the faith. Now today, again, there is a decision that has been made democratically by the people in this room, as is required by the Constitution. I would just ask you all, please, whatever the outcome, whatever your views on it, keep the faith with the party. We matter now more than we ever have. And ultimately, what today has demonstrated is that when we deal with things, it may be public, it may not always be edifying, but we deal with things in a democratic way, with our membership making the decision. You will take this party forward regardless of what else happens, and as long as you keep the faith, UKIP will stay on the pitch. We issued out 1,406 slips that made members eligible to claim a ballot paper. We have received back 1,378 ballot papers. 11 of those ballot papers were spoiled ballot papers. The number of members in support of the motion of no confidence, therefore asking that Henry Bolton be removed as leader, is 867. That is 63% of the vote. There were 500 votes cast by those wishing to reject the motion. That is 37% of the vote. Therefore, Henry Bolton has been removed by the democratic decision of the membership. The NEC will be meeting shortly in the next 5 minutes in the building to make a determination on who an interim leader might be. A leadership election will take place within 90 days, at which point a new chairman will announce the next democratically elected leader. Thank you for taking the time to travel here today. Have a very safe journey home.
Well, that is the breaking news this afternoon. UKIP members have backed a vote of no confidence in the party leader, Henry Bolton. He was the fourth leader in 18 months to be at the helm of the party. Let's bring in our political correspondent, Lewis Goodall, who's been following developments in Birmingham all day today. Lewis, what does this mean for UKIP now?
Well, it means another leadership election, Gamal. By some counts, he's actually, whoever's going to be the new leader, will be the 7th leader in 18 months. That's including Nigel Farage twice and acting leaders as well. And just in a short order of it, they're going to have appoint an interim leader. I think it's very likely to be Gerard Batten, an MEP for the party.
Just as I was about to let you all go, I have been requested by the NEC to let you know that they are likely to make a quick decision on who will be the interim leader. Anybody who wishes to remain and hear from said person is welcome to remain in their seats. It will probably be another 10 minutes or so.
So we're just hearing there from the party chairman that we're likely to hear from the person who was likely to be appointed interim leader. If anyone wishes to remain and do so, they'll be able to hear him in 10 minutes. I suspect that will be Gerard Batten. But one man who might be in the know about all of this is Neil Hamilton, the party's leader in Wales. Mr. Hamilton, do you think it'll be Mr. Batten who takes over?
I think it's very likely to be. One thing I can guarantee is it's not going to be me.
Oh, well, there you are. A nation mourns. What do you think of the result? Do you think it was the right result?
Yes, I'm very pleased. I think Henry Bolton had made himself completely incredible as a political leader. And I think his performance today showed that he still doesn't get it. You know,
what was the nature of his performance? Do you think he lost it in the room, lost it in the event?
At the end of the debate, he had 4 minutes to sum up, and he took the opportunity to threaten the audience, in effect.
With legal action, potentially.
Yeah, so, you know, he's obviously got no idea how to handle an audience politically. A political leader can't succeed if he doesn't know anything about politics.
By some counts, Mr. Batten, if he is appointed interim leader, will be the 7th leader, if you include Mr. Farage twice, in pretty much 18 months. You must accept that makes the party look utterly invisible, doesn't it?
No, I don't think so. It has certainly been a difficult period with this revolving door of leaders. But we're different, obviously, from bigger parties.
Are you ungovernable?
We have no, quite the opposite, in fact, because under Nigel Farage, obviously, we had a long period of stability. But Nigel was so super dominant, he didn't want to have anybody around him who was likely to be a competitor for the crown. And I think that what we've seen is the end of this period of vacuum. And Gerard Batten's a very experienced member of UKIP. He's been in the party since the start. He's been a member of the European Parliament since 2004. And he's a very solid, dependable, reliable...
Interesting as well, isn't it? You mentioned Nigel Farage. Of course, Mr. Farage had backed Mr. Bolton for leader. A lot of people said, well, if he managed to get Farage's backing, then that should be enough to push him over the line. Does this also, not only, of course, mark the end of Bolton's reign, but also the end of Mr. Farage's preeminence in the party?
Well, Nigel will always be preeminent, but I think what it does show is that Nigel's judgment has been decidedly lacking recently. First of all, his dallying with the idea of a second referendum, which went down like a lead balloon. And now this, I mean, he was really shackling himself to a corpse in Henry Bolton. I simply can't understand why he did it, because Bolton was quite clearly not a credible political force.
And do you think, of course, Mr. Bolton is not prohibited from running again? Do you think he might do so?
Well, he seems to be no stranger to public humiliation, so perhaps he will do. But, you know, if he remains a party member, then he has perfect right to. I think he would be exceptionally foolish to do so.
Do you think that many people will leave with him? I mean, after all, despite everything, he still managed to get 37% of the vote or so. Do you think people will leave him? Well, he hinted to me the other day he might start a new party.
Good luck to him. This is what Nigel and Maren Banks were hinting at as well.
Do you think they will do that, Mr. Farage and Mr. Banks? Do you think they might start?
No, I don't, actually. And if they had been intending to do this seriously, I think it would have been done by now. But these are the die-hard supporters of Henry Bolton here today. And I think it's a few hundred of them. What I do think we'll see is now a swathe of members coming back to UKIP, people who've been so disgusted by the way that Henry Bolton has behaved in the last 6 to 8 weeks and have resigned.
But there
in
will be,
consequence.
just finally, there will be viewers watching this who just think, look at this, this is a party clearly in its death throes. It no longer has a purpose. It's now on its 7th or 8th leader, depending on how you count it. What on earth is the point?
Well, we still have to get a clean Brexit. The government is bungling that process spectacularly.
Your actions are helping them by your own analysis.
Well, it's not our actions, it's Henry Bolton's action. I'm the leader of UKIP in the Welsh Assembly. We are being very professional as a parliamentary body day in and day out in the Assembly, but we can't get reported because of the antics of people like Henry Bolton. Perhaps now we'll be able to get back to real politics.
Henry Bolton lasted 4 months. How long do you reckon the next leader will?
Well, I don't know how long there will be an interim period for. That's what the NEC is meeting to discuss now. But I hope that we'll have a period of stability and Gerard will be able to remain in post as the interim leader for an extended period of time.
Neil Hamilton, thank you very much. There you go. Well, Mr Hamilton clearly hoping that Mr Batten, if it is Mr Batten, lasts a little bit longer than Henry Bolton. Mind you, he could hardly last much less time. Party, I think, is relieved, but nonetheless it will be interesting to see what Mr Bolton does next. And crucially, as Neil Hamilton was hinting there, what Nigel Farage and Aaron Banks, the former millionaire, the donor to the party, what they do next. They've hinted they might start a new party, the Momentum of the Right, as soon, potentially, as Monday. Very interesting developments for the coming days.
Indeed it is. Let's see what happens. Lewis, for now, many thanks indeed.
Well, he was only elected at the end of September, but tonight Henry Bolton is UKIP's ex-leader after party members voted to sack him. Mr Bolton's problems started when his partner sent racist messages about Prince Harry's fiancée Meghan Markle. Over the past 6 weeks, he has ignored calls to resign, but today, at an extraordinary general meeting of the party in Birmingham, the membership made it clear they wanted him to go. And our political correspondent, Lewis Goodall, has been in Birmingham all day. Lewis, what's been going on?
Well, Kimberly, as you say, we've just heard the result, and I am joined by the person who, unfortunately, is now an ex-UKIP leader, Mr Henry Bolton. Commiserations on your defeat. What are your reactions?
I join a fine body of people.
Indeed, yes. I think you're number 7 in 18 months. But anyway, what is your reaction?
Oh, yeah, well, of course, I'm slightly disappointed. You don't enter into something like this or embark upon something like this with the intention to lose. You know, it's not a great feeling, but you can't keep a good man down. I'm not finished with politics, and so, yeah.
You're not finished with politics?
Just one of those bumps in the road.
When we spoke earlier in the week, you hinted to me that you had a number of options if you did lose.
Yes.
One of those, I assumed, was potentially running for leader again. Is that something that you're going to do?
I don't know yet. I've just spoken to my team. We've had a quick batting around of the different options. We'll continue doing that over the next 2-3 days.
But it's a possibility.
And there are a number of possibilities. I'm not going to... Forgive me, but I'm not going to say what decision I'm going to make until I've made it.
Neil Hamilton just told me that if you did decide to do so, that would be no surprise, as you're no stranger to humiliation. What would you say to that?
Well, I think Neil Hamilton has not covered himself in glory in this process at all. I mean, some of the stuff he's posted online is appalling and is not in any way, I think, appropriate for anybody in the senior level of politics.
And what are the other possibilities? You said you might stand again? Another party, perhaps? You're not said you say you're not done in politics?
I'm not ruling out any option at the moment. The only time that I'll rule out options is in the process of making the decision as to which one I'm going to follow.
And is it true that you threatened to sue your own party over the conduct of this contest?
No. No.
But that was alleged in the meeting.
No. What it was, there have been issues that I believe, and my legal advice believes, has been instrumental in creating a situation that has brought about this vote of no confidence and this EGM. And the NEC have the proof of that, but have decided not to take any action about it until after the EGM.
And we haven't heard the last of Henry Bolton in politics?
No, don't think so.
Mr Bolton, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indeed, there you are. You heard it here first. Mr Bolton says he is not done in politics. He doesn't rule out the possibility of standing for leader again. He's not prohibited from doing so under the current rules. Also hinting, potentially, he might even form a new party or potentially join another party. And if that's the case, then he could be in good company, because Nigel Farage and Aaron Banks, former leader, of course, and former big donor to UKIP, have hinted they might start a new party, a so-called Momentum of the Right. You have to say, when we're looking potentially down the barrel of the 7th UKIP leader in 18 months, talking a breakaway, splintering party of an already much diminishing party, both in terms of membership and in terms of its voter base. UKIP's been written off many times before. It's often come back. Does feel like there's a stench of death really lingering at the ICC today.
Lewis, thank you.
In the last hour, UKIP have voted to remove their party leader, Henry Bolton. 63% of party members supported the motion of no confidence following the controversy over racist messages sent by his then partner. Well, our political correspondent, Alex Forsyth, is with the party in Birmingham. So, Alex Forsyth, where does this leave UKIP?
Well, in the short term, Rita, there is an interim leader, the MEP Gerard Batten, but beyond that, another leadership contest. This will be the party's fourth in just over 18 months since Nigel Farage stepped down. And there are some here who fear UKIP simply won't survive another divisive contest. There are others, though, in fact the majority, who thought it was the right decision for Henry Bolton to go because they said his personal life had become too much of a distraction from the job. So he has now stepped aside. Either way you look at this, UKIP was a party that was riding high after the Brexit referendum, but since then it has struggled with internal infighting to find direction, searching for leadership. And there is a danger now that while today has passed with no high drama, there is broad acceptance of this result. In the longer term, this will only deepen, not heal the party's divisions.
Alex, thank you.
The party which blazed the trail for Brexit is tonight once again plunged into turmoil. Members of the UK Independence Party voted to get rid of their leader, Henry Bolton, after a controversy about his girlfriend. He was only elected last September. Well, our political correspondent Paul Brand was at the meeting for us. Paul, can UKIP survive this?
Well, Kylie, the party's looking for its fifth leader now in 2 years. And I think, some people are asking whether there's anything left to lead. After that decision today, the party is bitterly divided. 63% of members voting to get rid of Henry Bolton. That's after the party's ruling body decided last month it had no confidence in him. Of course, all this was sparked by those messages sent by his former girlfriend, Jo Marnie, to a friend about Prince Harry's fiancée, Meghan Markle, in which she was allegedly racist. She's apologised for those messages, but that apology was not enough for party members here today, nor was Henry Bolton's plea to keep him as their leader. And after the result was declared, he told me he was pretty upset too about the way he feels he's been treated.
There are huge challenges of national and international importance, and people are wondering about whether or not I'm dating somebody and whether or not I've sent a Valentine's card to somebody. And
because it matters. It matters who our political leaders are dating and what their political views are.
What matters is the perpetuation of this over a long period of time has hurt a lot of people. The press interference with my wife, with my children, the fact that my children have been posted online by people who I think are nothing but despicable.
Well, some are saying the next leader should be one Nigel Farage. No indication yet that he wants to come back. But look, some people have been saying that since Brexit, UKIP has lacked a purpose, and yet again tonight it is lacking a leader.
OK, Paul, thank you. Paul Brand there.
Well, Henry Bolton had said he'd been subjected to the kind of scrutiny and public interest not seen since the Profumo affair. Well, now the former UKIP leader will have the chance to spend more time with his private life after his party threw him out. Delegates overwhelmingly backed a no-confidence motion at a special meeting in Birmingham, leaving the party facing a new leadership election within the next 90 days. Fatima Manji is there. Fatima.
Kathy, it's been a colourful, somewhat chaotic day here in Birmingham. We have 2,000 UKIP activists descending upon this conference centre to decide the future of their party. And they quite decisively decided that they had no confidence in Henry Bolton as a leader after the scandal over his girlfriend's racist text messages. So once again, this party faces an uncertain future, perhaps more uncertain than ever. Here's how the day unfolded.
Rolls-Royce, but they has to go. Not today. It won't be today.
UKIP's civil war raged in the streets of Birmingham today. As they gathered to decide their leader's fate, supporters and opponents came face to face.
I think his mistress is the problem.
That's his personal life, isn't it?
Well, that is his personal life. He's the leader of our party, and he should be someone that we aspire to, and he's not those things.
He's a left-winger like me, or middle of the party left-wing, unlike these right-wingers that are trying to get rid of him.
Well, hold on, so UKIP's left-wing, that will surprise most people.
But it's middle of the road.
Henry Bolton himself arrived in dramatic fashion, hoping to cling on to power in this no-confidence vote. Ever since news of his girlfriend sending racist text messages broke, he's been facing calls to quit. Mr Bolton got the backing of Nigel Farage, but has claimed he's been hounded by the media and says he's been facing scrutiny of his personal life like Princess Diana.
Mr Bolton has compared himself to Princess Diana. What do you make of that?
Well, she's dead, isn't she? Perhaps that's what he sees his future as being. I don't know. But I think it's a preposterous illusion.
I think Nigel's got terrible judgment on this. He's backed the last 3 disastrous leaders that we've had, and Henry's the latest. He's brought the party to the brink of extinction here. And actually, I want to say today that Nigel Farage needs to come back and lead this party.
You want Nigel Farage back?
I think Nigel Farage needs to come back now.
Inside, after over an hour of debate, which the media were banned from, they began to count the votes. And we managed to catch Mr Bolton to ask him why he fancies himself as the people's princess.
And that's not what I said.
You compared yourself to Princess
No,
Diana.
I didn't. I didn't say that at all. I said some of the attention might not have been... OK, I've got to
You've been accused of killing
UKIP.
UKIP. Have you killed UKIP?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Do you know which way?
I've been misdirected.
He seemed lost, and the party now seeks a new direction. With 63% voting to get rid of Henry Bolton. Now UKIP will look for their 5th leader in 2 years. And all this while the party faces the prospect of financial ruin. Today they cheered, tomorrow they may no longer exist.
Well, that financial crisis is particularly acute because of a libel bill the party is facing, brought about by Labour MPs. And that's really going to be the priority for whoever is going to be elected leader in 90 days' time. For now, Gerard Batten, MEP, is the interim leader. Whoever ends up as leader in 90 days, though, who could that be? Henry Bolton? Or could we see Nigel Farage as a comeback kid? One thing is clear, whoever it is going to have to fight to keep the future of UKIP alive.
Fatima, thanks very much.
I've been